Let's go back to the early days. Not that early, but the ancient Roman era. In this era, lead was used as a key component for products commonly used today. Everyday items such as face powders, mascara, paint pigments, sweet and sour condiments for food seasonings, kitchen utensils, and wine contained lead. Delicious, right? Yeah, lead wine doesn't sound so great to me either. Although Romans were aware of the health effects of lead, they continued to utilize lead due to its affordability, malleability, and resistance to corrosion, which is enhanced strength and durability. Lead was also used frequently in the Renaissance and medieval time period for armor and weaponry. Now, what about the good old USA? Well, during the 20th century, the United States was the world's leading producer and consumer of refined lead. It began with lead mining and smelting in the New World in 1621. Much later, lead was used as a fuel additive from the early 1920s up until the 1970s. By 1980, the U.S. alone was consuming about 1.3 million tons of lead per year. That amount of lead, which was about 40% of the world's supply, indicates a usage rate per American of 5,221 grams of lead per year. At that rate, the U.S. was 10 times more dependent on lead than the Romans were. At the time, the benefits of lead seemed to be greater than the cost. Lead mining and smelting contributed to the development of high power and compression engines, which was an advantage for the vehicles in World War II as well as the automobile industry. As the automobile industry began to take off, secondary smelting became popular in the 20th century. Now, what exactly is smelting? Smelting is the process of extracting base metal from its ore or other impurities using heat. Unlike primary smelters, which extract metal directly from its ore, secondary smelters rely heavily on scraps for extract. The scraps utilized include wheel balance ways, pipes, solders, but primarily automotive lead acid batteries. Over 80% of lead produced in the United States is used to manufacture lead acid batteries, which explains why batteries have the highest recycling rate of any product sold in the U.S. In 1969, 150 smelting firms were reported to be in operation. As the negative effects of lead were recognized, less than 20 smelting firms were left in business by 1994. Today, there are several hundred unrecognized secondary lead smelters. Aside from the 170 smelting sites listed in the EPA database, about 430 unknown lead smelting sites in business from 1941 to 1994 were identified in the U.S. Although lead was beneficial in many industries, the costs were greater than what the U.S. could afford. Many employees who worked in lead refineries mysteriously fell ill and experienced neurological and physiological issues. They were actually losing their minds. Why not just simply destroy all smelting sites? Sounds like a simple plan to reduce the lead effects, right? Well, it's not that simple. Smelting has been occurring for centuries. Years of lead smelting operations have resulted in a buildup of volcanic rock-like material known as slag. Slag is a molten byproduct left over from applying heat to metal ore in order to separate metal and non-metal components. For years, slag has been dumped into pits, lakes, wetlands, and sometimes even used for road fill. What makes slag a hazardous substance is its ability to leach heavy metal contaminants such as lead into soils and some plants. In areas such as West Atlanta, where slag can be found in the soil of urban communities and gardens, lead contaminants can be easily transferred into the body through the consumption of garden vegetation and the activities of children. The urge of children to play in dirt, pick up objects, and place their fingers in their mouths makes them most vulnerable to heavy metal contaminants, especially if they do not follow proper cleaning protocols such as washing hands. Slag can be easily mistaken for a cool-looking rock and can be taken into a household, exposing an entire family to heavy metal contaminants.